I believe that we share the same resolve, which is to tame inflation, which is to use all the tools that we have to do so. But we're facing a different beast. We have to use the tools and the sequence, which is appropriate depending on the sources of inflation. If I raise interest rates today, it is not going to bring the price of energy down.
ECB President Christine Lagarde, they're talking about inflation now. Joining us for more about inflation, the markets, the French election, there's so much going on, is Tikehau co-founder Antoine Flamarion. He joins me here on the rooftops of Paris. I've just been dreaming of saying that, Antoine, because look at Paris, it's beautiful. It's the day after the election. Macron got 58%. So much concern, actually, about this divided and divisive France. Where does he go next in the next 5 years?
Hello, Francine. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's true that when you look at the result, it's pretty fragmented, and what we can see in Europe and in the UK as well is that world is fragmented, and I think moving forward for President Macron, it's going to be a big challenge to make sure that he's really the French president of all the French people.
Does it mean that he needs to spend more, that actually deficits go out the window? We were just hearing from Christine Lagarde saying about inflation, we still have the raging war in Ukraine. How much more difficult will it get for the common person on the street?
It's a balance, because spending money is good, but you have to make sure it's channeled in the real economy. And I think in this fragmentation, both political, social and economic, what you need to do is make sure that all the money spent is going really in the real economy. And right. I think that the key theme will be a real economy and channeling the money there.
But it has to go to the people that have had the angry votes, does it not? Otherwise, the parliamentary election for France and actually reforms, it's game over.
I mean, 100%. And what we see probably since 2008 is that the money has been really channeled through the same people, mainly through the capital market, and you need to make sure that it goes broadly to all the country.
The markets today is looking beyond, of course, the encouraging news that the market wanted broadly that Macron stays as president. They're looking at China and they're being freaked out because of the lockdowns. What are they really worried about?
I think, probably the super cycle of the low interest rate is finished. Yeah. So now any new bad news will create a lot of turbulence. And obviously, the lockdown being longer in China, and probably everybody should have expected that. But as a result, people get concerned, and it's a -5% today on the back of minus almost 3 in the US, and that will continue. There will be volatility.
But Antoine, are they worried about Beijing, particularly? Because for me, the market should worry. Look, if there's a big port where you need to get in and out commodities, or if they use less steel, or some of the other things that we need globally, then that's a huge deal. But if you lock down a capital, what does it mean for an investor on the CAC 40, on the FTSE, or on Wall Street?
No, and I think people and companies and investors are stressed, and each time it's becoming really uncharted, like the war, unfortunately, in Ukraine. The rules are changing. And when the rules are changing, people get super stressed and concerned. And maybe people start getting a little bit concerned with China, because if they start, changing the rule and enabling less people to channel back their money, it's a concern. So that's why, you probably rather sell and stay away.
So what does it mean for Tikehau? I also catch up with your co-founder, actually, from time to time. I mean, you're very focused on some of the big energy sectors and some of this transition. Where do you find value today?
I think in this challenging world, you have to be on one end very cautious, but we are entrepreneurs in the financial industry. So there are so many things to do, especially all the transition. You have to finance energy transition, digital transition, cybersecurity, agricultural. So, we see a lot of opportunities for instance, in the 4 areas I mentioned. Globally,
in Europe, opportunities or
it's
elsewhere?
Global. And Europe going to be more volatile, as usual. More challenging, but that's, create more opportunities, I guess. So you need to be global, and now we are really operating on all the continents. But I think, we are born in France, we are French, we're operating mainly in Europe, and we see opportunities in Italy, in Spain, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in the UK as well. So.
And you're worried that you'll overpay for them, but that they're good targets, or you think you'll get a bargain?
I think, valuation remain very high. But with this interest rate movement, I think valuation will decline. And people have been living with crazy valuation for 15 years. And everybody has been, saw what happened in the US in the tech. I mean, nobody realized, but PayPal has been divided by 3, Alibaba by 3, I don't know, Didi by 20. And you can, add and add and add. And I think valuation will start changing, and that's mean for long-term investor like us, an entrepreneur, a lot of opportunities to finance, to invest with successful entrepreneurs.
I know you first really came in the limelight with the biggest use of SPAC, which was a SPAC spearheaded by the former UniCredit chief executive Jean-Pierre Mustier. Do you have a target for it? I think you need to find one by the end of the year.
Yeah, so we see the SPAC as a tool of our business. It's about raising money and investing in successful companies. With our partner Bernard Arnault, we launched 3 SPACs, 2 in Europe, 1 in Singapore. I think in the coming weeks or months, we'll probably make an announcement. Teams are working very hard. Jean-Pierre and Diego are working very hard on the 3 SPACs with the team. And I think, you need to find the right target. And it's a question of valuation, because it's, in our SPAC, we put our own money. So it's a little bit different than what people have been doing. It's really skin in the game. So we want to make sure we find the right target.
Antoine, you have a target? You have a couple of targets? And what kind of thing is it?
So, very quickly, the first SPAC is financial services. The second SPAC is entrepreneur. And as you know, in Europe, you've got tons of successful entrepreneurs. So, we'll see what's the first SPAC to de-SPAC or to announce.
Entrepreneurs from what? From fintech? I mean, it's such a broad thing. And we have great entrepreneurs, but they never quite become the Facebook that you can make in the States.
I think we don't have such big companies in Europe, but I think the movement is there, and I think it's accelerating because, a while back, when you look at luxury, LVMH is a 300 billion company, so it's a big company, and it's set up by an entrepreneur, and you see that in the telecom with Niel or Drahi. Tons of Dassault, for instance, another entrepreneurial journey. So we are aiming and looking at the next big entrepreneurs.
Antoine, if you're not wearing a hoodie, are you really an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean,
you have to be like Mark Zuckerberg, no?
But entrepreneurs are ambitious, and it takes time. Nobody realizes. But if I take our own journey, which has been, colorful, crazy, the pandemic, the 2008 crisis, we started with 4 million. Now we manage, 35 billion. It's a 4 billion market cap company. It takes time. Probably in the US it goes a little bit quicker. But I think in Europe we have a huge generation of talented entrepreneurs, and that will lead to huge companies.
What is specifically the most subsector that you're most excited by in Europe?
So, when it comes to SPAC, the first SPAC is financial services. The entire financial services industry is changing. We used to have banks, insurance company, but now you have fintech, alternative asset manager, independent advisor. So we look at all that, some sub-specific sector of insurance, and there are a lot of opportunities because the money is still there, a lot of capital, a lot of companies to finance.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. That was Antoine Flamarion, the Tikehau co-founder.